Welcome, dear viewers, to a journey unlike any other. A journey penned by Maurice Ford, whose life and experiences form the backbone of the story we are about to unfold. 5 times a slave is not just a title. It's a testament to struggle, resilience, and the indomitable spirit of a man who faced the darkest corners of life and emerged to tell the tale. Through Maurice Ford's eyes, we'll navigate the turbulent waters of a life marred by loss, anger, and adversity, yet also marked by moments of profound change and redemption. As we step into this animated adaptation, let us honor the courage it takes to share such a personal story and reflect on the lessons it holds for us all. Together, let's begin this voyage, prepared to face the realities of pain, but also to embrace the hope of transformation. The year was 2001. I believe it was the end of the year, or close to it. For the last 7 years, I've been living the life of crime and using excessive drugs. My drug of choice was PCP, or commonly known as juice. Now, on this particular day, I had done something to some guys on the east side of town, and it resulted in a shootout with myself and the guys involved, so afterwards I was really paranoid. I was smoking juice every day, and it didn't make my paranoia any better. On this particular day, I was riding with one of my homeboys named Wimp. May his energy rest well with the stars. He called himself Wimp the Po-Ho Pimp, and he would stutter when he talked. But on this particular day, we were smoking some fire juice. And little did I know at the time, I had a buildup. Now, what's a buildup, you may ask? To my understanding, it's when you smoke sherm for days at a time, and sooner or later your body is going to shut down. You're capable of doing things you might not remember until today's later. I have homeboys who have lost their minds, and they're still lost till this day. I thank the universal creator that my mind returned. Today, I've been juice-free for over 10 years. Back to the story. I was riding with Wimp and smoking juice, which convinced me that he was planning on killing me. These thoughts were directly from the effects of the juice. He had a gun pushed between the cushion of his car seat, so I'm thinking he's going to try me at any given time. From that point until I woke up in jail, I didn't remember clearly until after reading my motion of discovery. A motion of discovery is a document that's given to you by a lawyer describing your charges and everything that was involved in a crime. We were on the east side of town on 21st Street to be exact, right by the old Job Corps building. I reached for his gun and we started tussling over it. We're not aware that we're holding up traffic during our tussle until we hear a Little Rock police officer yell, "Freeze! Drop the gun!" at the window. My homeboy immediately freezes and puts his hands up. I finally got control of the gun, so I jumped out the car firing shots everywhere. I was running and shooting as the cops shot back. It's a blessing that I was still alive, but this is the craziest part. In my mind, I thought I was saving the earth. As I was shooting, the police looked like little green aliens, so to me, I really believed I was saving the world. Young people do not do drugs. Anyway, I ran so long that I lost the police a couple of times, but they followed the gunshots. In the midst of running, I ran a lot of my hideown and came to my senses, and I see detectives shooting at me from their cars. I realized that I have a gun in my hand and immediately drop it and surrendered and said, "Why are y'all shooting at me? I'm trying to help y'all save the world." Crazy, I know. You already know where I went from there. I went to the detective's office and they placed me inside of a room with one hand cuffed to the table. I still didn't know why I was there. I thought they wanted to question me about something I didn't know about. I remembered I had an 8-ball of rocks in my socks, but I had some D boots, so it was hard to reach the drugs, and I'm thinking I don't need a dope charge. As I attempted to get the drugs out my boots, I see a detective that I knew. He was from my neighborhood. He came to the door, and I asked him, "What do they want with me?" He said, "You don't know what you did?" I said, "No." He said, "You shot at 3 Little Rock police officers." All I could say is, "Please call my mother." After I was told this, I was still cuffed to the table by one hand. So with my free hand, I reached in my boot and grabbed the drugs to dispose of them. I looked around and saw a heater behind me, so I stuffed it in there. In the midst of doing so, my pants had to come off. So when the detectives came in, I was in my boxers. And, this didn't look good at all. They said, "Yeah, you was on PCP. They thought I was tripping and stripped to my boxers because people who be on the juice sometimes strip their clothes off, but this wasn't the case. I was trying not to catch another charge." They did a ballistics test the same day and found gunpowder residue on my hand, so I was formally charged with criminal attempt to commit capital murder ×3. I was sent to the Pulaski County Detention Center. Now my life as I knew it was over. Also at the time, I couldn't remember the details. I was still wanting to believe this was a mistake even after I read the police report. I'm thinking, damn, I did all of that? As days went on, in my sleep, I would see certain images of that day so clear to the point that I knew I was guilty of the crime. While reading the discovery, I remembered more of the events mentioned. I know I was guilty of those charges, but in my head, I merely dropped the gun and surrendered. The worst part of it all was the day I was looking out the window of my cell, and I seen my homeboy, Wimp. He had been arrested on some unrelated charges. He walked past me and didn't even speak, so I yelled out to him, and he said with that stutter, "'Cause you tried to kill me." That broke my heart. Once my family saw how serious the charges were, they hired me a great lawyer. His name is Bill. The last time I saw him, he was on television representing a man with a capital murder case. Now he only represents people with capital murder cases. I felt so remorseful because I didn't wake up that morning to make a conscious decision to shoot at the police. Now, as I was sitting in the county jail, I would barely come out of my room because I just knew I was going away for a long time. I didn't know exactly how to process it all. This isn't a religious book, but I must share this because it's a part of my journey. A man approached me in jail one day. Now, mind you, at this time, I'm not talking to a lot of people and I didn't tell him what I was charged with. Also, at this time, I started reading the Bible. It seems like when people are in trouble, they call on the universal energy source of who I knew as God at that time. Back to this brother I met in jail, he told me about my charges, and he said if you want your prayers to be heard, you must call God by his personal name. He told me God's personal name was Yahweh, and showed me examples in the Bible. For example, there's a scripture that says, "I am the Lord God, and that is my name." I realized that Lord is a title, and so is God. It's not a personal name. When I started praying using Yahweh, my situation seemed to change. Now looking back at it, I've evolved. I think everyone should. At that time in my life, I wasn't living right. After my lawyer did his thing, my charges were dropped to 3 counts of aggravated assault. I remember going to court, and I told my lawyer I wanted to talk to the judge so I can explain to him that I was high, and I would never shoot at an officer in my right mind. He also said that would make it worse, and there's 10 witnesses that are police officer outside the door. As I looked, all I saw was blue uniforms. My lawyer said he played golf with the judge, and the prosecutors was offering 3 years on a D, meaning I would do 2 months on each year, and he said, "You'll be out before Christmas." I wasn't out before Christmas, but it all worked. I turned 21 in Varner Unit. Varner Unit is a maximum security prison in Lincoln County, Arkansas. Now, at this time, all I knew about prison is what I saw on television. I saw my old homeboys go for years and get out. As we approached the gates in that prison van, I felt that butterfly feeling in my stomach that I hated, so I decided before I walked in that I would kill or be killed. I put my game face on, as all the newcomers are getting their towels, flip-flops, etc. I saw 2 of my old homeboys. One was Lenoris King, and the other one was John Foley. Shortly after, I was sent to a Ho Squad barrack. The Ho Squad barrack is where newcomers go, and it's understood that in the morning you'll have that hoe in your hand in the field. 2 or more correctional officers were there, riding on the backs of horses with guns on their hips, giving orders. I can remember my first evening in prison. I observed 3 black guys and a white guy playing dominoes, and they were slamming bones. The black dude was talking shit as the tradition goes, and I was in the restroom area when the white dude came in and said that he has 10 years on 70%, meaning he has to do 7 years before he can see the parole board, and he can't allow anyone to talk to him in that manner. So, I kind of laughed it off, because I didn't think he would do anything but stop playing dominoes with those particular guys. But I remember hearing a loud thump, so as I looked up, I saw the black guy jump up and fall inside a trash can. His homeboys ran off. The white guy tied a lock to a shoestring and hit him on the top of his head with it. He split his head open, and the black guy ran to the door and started banging on the door, trying to get the attention of the officers. The next time I saw him, he had staples on top of his head. That was the first violent act I witnessed. Another incident I witnessed was about 190 water. We have this thing called 190 water in prison. We use it to mainly cook our noodles, but one morning this guy was getting accused of stealing someone's radio. But first, let me go back to the dominoes incident. After I saw how playing games in prison can get you hurt in some cases, I vowed to never play any games in prison because I couldn't allow anyone to say 10 and you the wrong way. That's just something people say while playing the game of dominoes. But in prison it sounds different. Back to the story. The brother who was accused of stealing was asleep one morning, and the next thing I heard was the accused thief taking a long and loud gasp for air. I saw his dark skin roll off his face and become pink. That was a scary sight to see. I could tell many prison stories from this trip, but I would be writing for days. 6 or 7 months passed before I went in front of the parole board. I was stipulated an anger management class that I had to complete before I could be released, so I stayed an extra month. I made the board, I was a free man, I vowed to not smoke juice again and stay out the streets. Another thing I promised myself was to stop selling crack, which I did. But as far as the juice, I probably stayed sober for 2 months before I went back to smoking it again. It was a tradition, as we called it in the hood. Thank you for watching 5 Times a Slave, the animation that brought the book to life by author Maurice Ford. I want to express my gratitude for your support and engagement with this powerful story. Maurice Ford, the author of this remarkable book, has not only crafted an extraordinary narrative, but has also shared his personal experiences with us. Through his words, he has given voice to the untold stories of resilience, courage, and strength. His ability to bring these stories to life through animation is truly commendable. The animation has not only captured the essence of the book, but has also added another layer of depth and emotion to the storytelling. I am grateful to Maurice Ford for his dedication in bringing these important stories to light and for his willingness to share his personal experiences with us. His work serves as a reminder of the importance of empathy, understanding, and creating a more inclusive and compassionate world. Once again, thank you for watching 5 Times a Slave and for supporting Maurice Ford and his incredible book.